So guys, a few Christmases ago, Amber's brothers band together and they got me a car stereo. And I was able to rope Charlie into helping me install it. By helping, of course, I mean he did the whole thing pretty much by himself. Without a mounting kit, we pretty much had to wire the whole thing connection by connection, just hoping that we were matching everything up correctly. Of course, by we, I mean just him. And after several hours of clipping and twisting and testing conduction, we had finally accomplished our task, and the install was complete. Seriously though, I was just kind of getting in his way the whole time. As far as we could tell, everything was working perfectly until I drove to work that night. I was driving down the road listening to some of my favorite jams when finally I turned on the headlights and the stereo went dead. Something wasn't right. Something was miswired. Well guys, it turns out that our brains are a little bit something like that stereo. You can think of your brain as a vast array of specialized neurons full of billions of synaptic connections. Like a super dense, ultra complex, electrically active supercomputer that controls every aspect of your life and processes and stores your every experience. Why am I doing this with my hands? As you learn and take in new information, your brain is busy building new synaptic bridges and wiring together different neurons. This effectively takes us from experience to thought to idea to memory. And this all happens without us even thinking about it. Ideally, this machinery helps us to survive and thrive and enjoy this world while keeping us safe from danger and harm, to help us experience and discover this beautiful universe that we've been given. But alas, this world isn't ideal. Unfortunately, there's plenty of sickness and evil and death in it to corrupt the machinery of our brain. All too often we have a negative experience or interpret an experience in a negative way that causes our brain to wire a connection where there shouldn't be one. In fact, that's the physical manifestation of every lie you've ever believed, every bad decision you've ever made, and every piece of misinformation you've ever learned. This often manifests as some sort of stress, sadness, or anger. Like, have you ever noticed how just the thought of a particular person can induce strong emotions? Like the way I feel when I think about Kanye West. That guy really pisses me off. These effects can actually become more pronounced the more we choose to dwell on these thoughts. Like the dendritic bridge in your brain is actually getting wider, and the synaptic connection actually becoming stronger. Kanye! As you continue on this downward spiral, these toxic thoughts can infect more of your neural network, wiring all sorts of connections where there shouldn't be any until almost every thought is tainted. Pants? Kanye West wears pants! I hate pants! Ah! But what if we could change the way we think? What if we could wire our brains to spiral up instead of down? What if instead of bitterness and anger, we could wire in peace and compassion? Instead of fear, we could wire in courage. Well, according to some of the latest neuroscientific research, because of our neuroplastic melons, we can. And it's beautifully simple. We simply, when presented with the same old triggers, need to choose to think a different thought about them. For instance, when somebody mentions Kanye West, instead of remembering how all of the things he has ever said are the exact wrong things to say, I choose instead to think of the fact that he, like me and everyone else I know, wants a life full of meaning and significance, and that we are all often misguided in our pursuit of this, and that with celebrity comes temptations and criticisms to a degree that most of us will never experience. These thoughts will foster compassion instead of hatred, and the more I choose to think these thoughts instead of the other ones, the more rewiring will happen in my brain. In fact, I've linked a video by neuroscience expert Dr. Joe Dispenza, where you can watch a microscopic footage of the literal breaking of one connection to form a better one. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can choose thoughts. You can choose ones that promote life, or you can choose ones that promote death. It sounds awfully familiar. And that it serves our bodies best when we choose to think on things that are good and noble and praiseworthy, etc. Was it that article in Prevention Magazine? And that we can literally be transformed by the renewing of our minds. It was the Bible. So why don't you get back to me? I'd like to know what you guys think of that. Josh, Ben, and anyone else watching. I love you guys.